was reflecting on one year when my family went to Gatlinburg. We went and saw this magic show, and it was really cool. But the whole time I was trying to figure out, how they were doing it, and gosh, that looks kind of fake. And, I was just sitting there kind of judging the whole time. And at the end, the magician, I was so embarrassed because the magician said, I bet there were some of you here that the whole time you were trying to figure out how I did what I did. And, that it's just magic, but it's fake. And I was like, oops, that was me, sorry. But he was like, you missed it. The whole point of this magic show is that for one whole hour, you were sitting here and you weren't thinking about your struggles and just your stresses. And for one whole hour, you were able to just relax and think about something else and just unwind and have fun. Like in our song, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, it's kind of a reflection of that, that we can just sometimes take a step back and do activities and do things that just get our mind off things, that help us to think about something else for once. And this song in particular is very important to my family. Like the original version, Casting Crowns, that's really what we use to open our Christmas season. Like when we go to decorate our tree, we pop out that CD. Yes, we use CDs. And listen to that, and it just gets us in that Christmas spirit. And that story of I Heard the Bells was originally written years ago from a poem from Longfellow. He was sitting in his room, his son had gone off to war, and he was hearing the carolers outside singing about peace on earth. And he was thinking about that, here's this peace on earth, this worldly peace and everything, but yet the cannons were going off in the distance and people were dying and being wounded, and there wasn't really peace. There was this superficial peace that people were doing with the decorating and getting ready, and it sounded like peace, but there wasn't really peace. The world was at war. That was our idea with this whole doing I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day, and the emotion of that song, of just really building on that peace and just celebrating Christmas and having fun and everything and just letting go. But at the same time, as we get into that second verse, of just you start to feel the conflict. We have on one side this joy and this happiness, but on the other side, life can be really hard too. And it's like a cycle of struggles. And that really hit you hard in the studio when we were recording.
It really did. Number one, I know this song means so much to your family, so we wanted to do a good job. But Stacy and I kind of went into the studio with one of our vocal coaches and with our producer, and just kind of with a blank slate. We both knew the song, we got the key down that we were going to do it in, but for the arrangement, and when you listen to it, you'll realize even musically, it's a little bit more of a deep and heavy kind of sound behind it. And we want people to process that emotion, because I think we suppress during the holiday season sometimes the unhappy things. We try it because we want to put on a good face and have a good time, and we want everybody else to have a good time around us. But let's face it, life is difficult. And even Jesus himself said, in this world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And so this whole time when you were talking, I'm like feeling the emotion and the weight of it. And we did a concert last year, and I'll never forget, it's one of my favorite moments for us when we were singing As Always Hope, that we're on both sides of the stage and we turn toward each other. And during the bridge of that song, we're singing and walking toward each other. And then rang the bells, right?
Loud and deep, God is not dead nor doth he sleep, yeah.
And that's the answer. And so what she's describing in the studio is like I am now. I was feeling very emotional, and I really felt like God himself came in the room that day, because I don't even know if I've ever vocalized this to you. When we were going in that day, it was way out of my vocal comfort zone. It's probably the highest I've ever had to sing before. and it's just like God came in, and the second I started singing, it was like easy and effortless. And when I couple that memory in the studio that day, I felt like it's almost like that's when we became Always Hope, before we even had our name. I felt like during this song that's when things really kind of locked in. the first time musically for me.
It felt like we were really a group and really singing from our heart and doing something where it was like we were really pouring ourselves into the song. Because when I look back, you know, that was something where we'd originally planned that I was going to do that second verse and everything, and then you just said, you know, I'm just really feeling this. Like, I feel the conflict in myself. Can I sing, just keep going and sing through this conflict that I'm feeling? And then, you know, I love the part in the bridge where we just have this time where there's like a resolution between the song starts off super happy and childlike, and then it goes into this just kind of conflict, and then it's resolved with, you know, God's not dead. He's not sleeping. He's there. He's watching us. He's, you know, in the end, he wins. You know, he's gonna conquer all this pain and suffering and death and sadness. And then the song ends with that last chorus of just incredible joy of when I heard the bells. It's like not only just on earth, but in heaven, and just that you can have peace in the struggles. You can have joy, and there is hope even in the suffering.
Yeah, well, you sing that whole first part of the song. When I come in, the lyrics are, in despair, I bow my head. And I just really feel like, Stacy, that people may be watching this and they feel that despair. And my heart breaks for you, because I think we've all felt that despair at times, if you've lived long enough. But it's like Longfellow in his poem is writing, in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, you know. But then the bells start ringing, and it's like it jolts him back to reality, that it's still Christmas, God is still on his throne, and we can celebrate no matter what the circumstance is, that God is still on the throne.
And that we can find joy in that, and joy in our relationships with people, and joy in humanity, and just being with other humans and suffering together and working through things together. And there can be so much joy and fulfillment in that, just helping one another. I think that's what we really need to get back to, is being people together. You know, COVID kind of separated everybody and made everybody feel alone, and just kind of where you have to be individual, but we're so much better together and so much better in groups.
And that's why we do music, because we want to inspire, encourage, motivate the world toward Jesus. So when you hear this song, we ask that you go ahead and go listen to it right now, and maybe you'll hear it with fresh ears.